Hi, I'm Tiffany Cantrell. I work at Hardin Valley Academy, and I'm one of the people that helps with loading some content into our freshman seminar drive for Knox County. And I want to do a little session today on YouScience because sort of if we were to look at where we're at in our curriculum, we're in Module 2, which is personal exploration, and one of those major keys that kind of connects Module 2 with Module 3 and 4 and 5 and the rest of the modules is YouScience. And so I wanted to kind of show you more ways than just the assessment to give to your kids and utilize as additional projects and activities that will be more fun for you and also more fun for the kids and just more encompassing on them exploring themselves and discovering more of who they are and how they work and how and what that looks like in a workplace, which currently that's their school and their classrooms and with their classmates, but eventually it'll be a place of employment. So it's important to kind of start introducing the kids to places where they can learn and grow those skills so they can be ready. So let's kind of get started, and I'm going to share my screen. It's been a long time since I've done Teams, so bear with me here. So I'm going to share here. And then I'm going to pick this one right here. No, that's the wrong screen. Okay. I'm so sorry. Let's try another one. How do I cancel here? Oops. Okay, well, let's just do it this way. Okay. So hopefully you can see my screen. Okay, never mind. Let's just stop sharing and restart. I don't want to mess up. Presenter mode. Log into YouScience. How about this one? All right. I like this view right here. Size. There we go. Okay. So this right here is our YouScience site. And well, let's backtrack. Yes. So I'm actually going to go to this PowerPoint here. And we'll just go in order because I don't want to miss anything. So here we go. Our goals for today is the main goal is for you, okay, to alleviate any accumulated concern or stress regarding how to use YouScience beyond just the assessment and to provide you as the teacher tangible ways a student's YouScience results can be explored, utilized, implemented, and shared within the setting of a freshman seminar class. So the goal is more for you as opposed, now the benefit will be your students, but I understand how anxious it sometimes is to teach a course that you're kind of a little bit unfamiliar with, which could be freshman seminar for you. So we want to try and make that more comfortable. It's a very, very important class. The kids, it's a class where the kids can just, if done right, can learn and take more so from that class after their high school years than anything. So let's kind of review a little bit of just the foundation of the academy structure and our why. So by the end of this year, we want all of our new freshman seminar teachers and freshman students to understand the following: what a portrait of a graduate is. Hopefully you've kind of been highlighting into that a little bit. If you have some guest speakers, maybe you've asked the guest speaker to highlight into what a portrait of a graduate looks like at their particular business. That's always neat that the kids hear, yeah, it is important to have a good firm handshake, and it is important to look people in the eyes and things like that. So it's always good to just have business partners include that into their presentation as well. And then hopefully you've highlighted into the college and career readiness rubric and showed the kids sort of what that may look like in your classroom. If that's like little bit at your discretion and to your creativity, how you want that to look like, and grading those kids for that. And then your 865 Academy goals, just the overall arching from 9th through 12th in our direction of becoming more 865 ready. So here's that example of the portrait of a graduate. We have this hanging in our classrooms, in all of our freshman classrooms. So, and the kids see it every day, but it's more important to talk about it than just see it. So try and find plugs where even just 2-3 minute plugs, maybe in a bell ringer one day, something like that. And then what does it truly mean to be 865 ready? Is to have all kids ready to either enlist, enroll, or be ready for employment outside of high school. So the 3 E's. And sort of collecting data that way. That'll be pretty neat to see over the next couple of years once freshman seminar and just all of our kids start going through all 4 academy specific years. So that'll be key. And here's a picture of your little readiness rubric. These words, now I've learned that the kids struggle to understand what some of these words mean, so it might be a good idea to revisit these words and kind of what it means in layman's terms, or their own definition of it, so that they can understand sort of what interpersonal effectiveness is. What does that look like in a classroom, with a guest speaker, with their friends, with their peers? So hopefully you've been able to have some productive conversation for that. If not, that's okay. Okay. This content is broad, and so it may feel hard to cover all that you would like to cover. But little by little, as you become more comfortable in teaching the content, you're able to include your own flair for professional skills like this. And then your module map. Right now, we're kind of we've ventured in. We're out of module 1 into module 2, venturing soon into module 3. But again, they're kind of all encompassing and all including, especially after you get to YouScience. I really think that if you plan correctly, if you plan in a way that you want to, it's neat to include things from all modules in some larger assignments, maybe a couple of benchmarks. So up to this point, I know us at Hardin Valley, we've covered relationship building, syllabus and classroom management lessons and quiz, how grades work in high school. A lot of students are confused as to how their grades work. Like, does their grade reset in January? Do they get a new grade reset every quarter? Like, we have to explain that to our kids, because the kids sometimes think, oh, I'll just start over in January. That's not how, well, I'm so sorry. That may be how it works for you. We're on year-long schedule, so it does not work for that way for us. But we have year-long schedules from August to May. We meet every other day, and so that is a struggle for them. But for you, if you meet semester long, maybe just making sure that the kids understand the importance of GPA and passing the required classes and getting their work turned in on time and producing good quality work. So all those note-taking and styles and techniques might help with delivering that content. Email etiquette, that's probably one of the more highlighted lessons at Hardin Valley that other teachers appreciate. So that's good. And then guest speaker behavior, as you start having guest speakers, it's important to talk to the kids about what that needs to look like within a small guest speaker setting, and then what it could look like in a auditorium guest speaker setting, and hopefully heading off some potential problems or frustrations from the faculty standpoint there, and making sure that kids listen. And then hopefully you've done a couple of grade checks and shown the kids how to check their grades, and to communicate proactively with their other teachers to make sure that hopefully they're following and abiding by the missing work procedures that you guys have at your school. And then module 2, communicating effectively, social skills, cues, active listening. You ventured into the college and career readiness rubric, some empathy within the relationships. And then we saved Myers-Briggs and Leadership Compass until after YouScience, and then we'll connect all 3 of them, which I'll talk about that towards the end of this PD. But that's part of module 2, and it's really neat to see the YouScience connections with, which is more attributes and work styles, And then their Myers-Briggs, which is more their strengths and characteristics. And then the leadership compass is how they interact the best with different people. So all three of those combined could be a really, really neat project for your kids to really, truly discover ways that they may work that they never thought really about before, or that maybe we learn as middle-aged people that kids could learn earlier. Okay, and then just kind of running through our goals long-term, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and sort of where we're at now. So orientation to high school, we've done that. So we're in the process of completing YouScience. We are, and hopefully you are too. Maybe you've had a guest speaker or two. If not, maybe you could talk with your academy coach and see what that looks like for your school. I know your academy coaches are working hard to try and navigate pathways and what that needs to look like for your 10th and 11th and 12th graders too. So partnering with them is a great idea. And then you're about to begin exploring pathways, and then a post-secondary visit might come in the spring, and selecting a pathway also will come in the spring. But right now we are doing well, okay, with the orientation to high school and completing YouScience and possibly a guest speaker. So on our way. And then I just want to remind you of just our norms and non-negotiables for freshman seminar. So we want you to stay true to the course modules and objectives. Prioritize continuously developing relationships. Like, this content is hard to teach if you don't have a relationship with your kids. And that is sometimes hard to do because that takes really, really intentional work on our parts. We need to know our students. We need to know how they work, what motivates them, and what excites them, and try to create content and lessons around that. And the way that Hart Valley kids might feel motivated and excited is different than kids at Carnes or Farragut or Central or Fulton. Okay, so really, really read into your kids on that. YouScience and career exploration, take and revisit throughout the year. That's sort of where we're at right now. And then pathway exploration, work closely with your academy coach for what the pathway process, selection, celebration process will look like. I know you're probably thinking about what that needs to look like for when you start beginning to pick pathways. That's always very, very fun for our kids. It's one of the highlights of their year. We try to make it a big deal because it is a big deal. I mean, the next 3 years of their high schools, the pathway choice is important for that direction there, even if it ends up not being their career choice. They're learning that in high school and not college ever. I'm one of those. I thought I was supposed to be a nurse and went through 4 years of college and ended up being a teacher. So I could have learned that earlier. Hold on. Okay, and then your A65 Ready portfolio, the freshman year portion. That worked out really well for us last year. And we will kind of follow up on that as to if it's going to look the same for this year as it did last year or what differences are. But once it's ready to roll out to you, we'll let you know. And you can begin having kids plug and chug some of that information, because there are portions of the A65 Ready portfolio that ask for YouScience information, and they can pull from their YouScience results there, and it'll be good. So I don't know, the A65 Ready portfolio is really neat, and it's really professional looking, and it makes the kids feel like they're working towards something and can save a portfolio for all 4 years. So that's cool for them to hang on to. And then what freshman seminar is not, it's not a study hall, it's not a catch-all for all teachers to pull from to finish testing and assignments. It's not a place where students can slack and expect an easy A. Freshman seminar needs to be a uniform course throughout the county. So, and I know y'all are doing a great job with that, so I'm excited. Okay, let's get into some of our Module 2 goals and objectives, which is why you're kind of watching this, and I'm sorry it's kind of taken a little while to get to this point, but I think it's important to remind you of our why for freshman seminar. It's not just a mandatory class for freshmen. It's incredibly important to get kids on the right track, and that helps with so many preventative things on the tail end. If they're informed and feel like they're cared about stepping into a school and given options, and like a limited freedom where they're given things to choose, but in a way that still helps guide them at the same time. So it's good. It's good. So let's venture into Module 2 and YouScience. So here's our goals and objectives for Module 2 that was on our course curriculum map. So students will explore their own unique aptitudes and interests based on YouScience assessment tool. Students will know and understand their own personality types. Students will know their own working styles and understand how they work best. And students will practice the college and career readiness rubric techniques by delivering and professionally listening to speeches on their aptitudes themselves and YouScience results. All that is Module 2. And then, so this is where I'm going to backtrack and actually move forward and talk about troubleshooting. Okay, so this is the YouScience website. Okay, you go to youscience.com/login, and the best way for my kids that don't get lost, I just I tag this on my Canvas course in a little page, and the kids go there on our little daily agenda thing. So anyways, you log in. Now, obviously, a student's is going to look different than ours, but a student's Canvas information, Aspen information should be what allows them to get logged in. Now, if that does not get a kid to log in, then, so how to ensure students are logged in, they have to click the login button next to the Bright Path section. So you saw, whoops, well, I already logged in, sorry, right here, Bright Path. Okay. This takes them on the site. And then once you're here, it'll say welcome and then your name. Now, if you've taken it, you have results, and I do encourage you to take the test. It's the test, the series of tests, there's 11 of them. Okay, and each test takes a certain amount of time. And it's difficult to help a student and empathize with them through this testing process if you've not taken it yourself. So I do highly suggest taking it before you give it to your kids. Even if you have already given this test to your kids, if you're planning on going back and forth to YouScience a lot over the next several months, then they need to see that it's modeled by you, and your results. You'll be able to tie your results into some future assignments, so that you can better help students as they're working through their assignments. So yes, take it. I really suggest taking it. Plus, it's neat to see your results, like for you. Anyway, so there are 11 tests. Okay, and you can't pick and choose. You can't go out of order. It guides you through 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. Now, I will say, I don't want to jump ahead. Never mind. I'm going to come back to that. Sorry. We plan for a minimum of 3 class periods to get these taken, because there's a reflection that we have our kids fill out. So once a student is logged on, okay, you will have the student go to, or you, if you haven't taken the test, Aptitude and Career Discovery. Now on Aptitude and Career Discovery, I've taken this test already, so this has my results. Okay, but if I were wanting to retake this, I don't. So I'm going to click this. Oh gosh, nope, I don't. No. Okay, well, I'm not going to retake it. But, so I can't really show you what it looks like. However, I will show you what, so after a student takes their test, you were able to explore the site through various, so aptitudes is another name for just their little talents, and your aptitudes are analyzed and ventured through by these tests right here. So really all of these tests it's a series of brain games. So like visual comparison speed, that's a test of you looking at 2 different numbers and seeing if they're the same or not, and your speed, your visual speed for that. Numerical reasoning is patterns. So can you tell the pattern of a set of numbers and recognize what that pattern is? Spatial visualization, that's can you look at a 2-dimensional object and recognize what that looks like in 3D? Inductive reasoning, I believe that's a story you have to write. Sequential reasoning, it gives you a list of 5 options, I believe, and you have to pick the 3 that go together. Idea generation, it gives you a prompt and you have to type for 5 straight minutes. Work approach, I believe it's similar to sequential reasoning. Time frame orientation, it gives you an object and you have to write what that like it might give you some lines that look like a bowl and you have to type in everything that that line looks like. So it's really your capacity there. And then vocabulary tests, it has some words on there. Obviously it's vocabulary, but it reminds me of like the English portion of an ACT. Interpersonal style, that's where it talks about or asks students about things that like either or questions. And then interest profile, that might be, I think that's where your results are released, or it may be additional interpersonal questions, but just more from the interest level. Anyway, so the student, you can issue this test any way you would like. Again, though, I would choose to issue this test in a way that, one, your students would take it the most serious, and two, that would be the least amount of stress on your student. This test can be a little frustrating from a student's perspective because it feels so tedious and the tests are so, they're a little odd in their own little way, but a good odd. Okay, a good odd. So let's go back. So let's pretend that I'm a student and I've taken my test. Okay, I've gone through all of these and I'm ready to explore my my results. Well, no, I'm sorry, let's backtrack. I don't want to explore my results yet. I want to tell you what happens if you have a student that cannot get logged into their account, that their Canvas information, their Aspen information doesn't get them logged in. Okay, you need to talk to what to do if a student cannot get signed in. You need to talk to your freshman counselor and or your academy coach and or your seminar lead for that school. Okay, they should have the access to be able to send an email, a password reset email to your student, and then they'll be able to reset their password, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, and then it's important that you know who the YouScience liaison for your school is. That would be your academy coach. Okay, and if it's not, I think it should be it is your academy coach. If not, it's probably your freshman counselor or your seminar lead. Okay, now we've ran into this issue. We started YouScience this week. Up here, well, for a student, it says Sarah Kate. Okay, that's her first and last name, and it'll say it says their middle school still. And then it says Knox County. I reached out downtown and they told me that that's still okay to just make sure that you've changed their account information to high school and they're still categorized within your high school. I wanted to make sure that before we took the test that the students would be like if we were to pull data, I want data to be pulled from our school and then not blanketed under their middle school still, even though they still don't go there. But so let's just kind of sidetrack a little bit, and I'm going to show you how to ensure that your student is put under your high school. So for example, Hardin Valley Academy. So what would happen is you need to go to, if your student says Cedar Bluff Middle School, okay, then they need to change their YouScience settings to high school. Okay, so they would go to career and aptitudes. They would go up here to their My Account. And then they would change this account information. Now, the kids are always worried about their phone number. Just put the school phone number in there. I don't even know what number this is. I keep trying to put the school phone, but it just kind of does its own. Okay, so school phone number, they never reach out anyways. Or they haven't yet. Maybe they do and they just haven't. But this is where your student needs to focus on. So what theirs will say, if they've not changed their data information yet, it will say in middle school. You need to have your student change it to high school. And when they press this button, a new button will come up that I'm just going to press it and then I'll change it later. Okay, so this right here, what grade are you in? They'll put obviously 9th grade. because they graduate, but I'm going to change back to full-time because I don't want this to mess up. Okay, so I'm a working full-time, and then if you want them to, or if they want to, they can click any option that they're interested in. Okay, and then they need to click Let's Start. That changes their settings for them, and you're good to go there. All right, let's go see where we're at. Troubleshooting, we've troubleshot. Various ways to have your kids take this. So here's the way. So this is year 4 for us offering seminar at Hardin Valley. And I've introduced this YouScience assessment 4 different ways. I've found the way that works for me. It's important that you find the way that works for you. And we have 5 seminar teachers at Hardin Valley, and all 5 of us introduce and have the kids take their YouScience a different way, which is fine. The ultimate goal is to 1, have your kids take YouScience assessment seriously, and 2, have them take it. Okay. Just taking it is not the same as taking it seriously. So we want to make sure we have good quality, as well as every freshman taking the YouScience. Okay, so anyways, various ways to have your kids take this. And I'll kind of provide feedback as we go. So our assessment, our classes we're on block schedule. The kids meet for 80 minutes a day. So yours may meet for 45 minutes a day. I don't know how your all's meets. So when I talk about amount of class periods this takes, I'm talking at it from a 80-minute block perspective. Okay, for us, YouScience takes 2.5 to 3 class periods. Some teachers take right at 3 class periods. Some teachers can take 2. It depends on how they've introduced theirs to their class. Okay, so you can go 1 altogether. And what that means is when a student finishes one section, they wait until the time is up or until everyone else in this class is finished and ready to move on. Okay, you have self-paced, which ensures this. 1, you would need to ensure the student is logged in and let the students work through YouScience on their own and at their own pace. You have, oh goodness, have divided into days or parts. So give students a list of tests that they need to have completed for that particular day by the end of the class period. You can have a checkoff system there, or another way that fits your style in your student classroom. You can do a combination. So what I do, I've done these 3 ways. What I've found works for me the best and for my students is to go all together. 1, because like they've been in class all day by the time they get to me, if I have them for 4th period, and to sit and to look at a list of 11 assessments can be a little bit overwhelming for a student. So I'll have them pull up YouScience. I'll get them to that first initial test, and I will read the directions to them. Okay, and then I'll say, okay, if you feel like you're good to go, you can start your test. When you finish, just sit quietly. You can put your head down. You can go. Sometimes I say they can go to another site and play a game, but oftentimes I don't. This year I'm not letting them. Last year, just kind of depended. But I don't want them talking because I don't want them distracting other students. And then I don't want their phones aren't on them. They put them in a pouch. But I don't want them moving on. And part of their grade for this is the way they listen to directions. And I tell them that ahead of time. You get 100 points. This assignment for me is 100 points. You get 100 points for this assignment, 60 for completing the test, and 40 for the way you follow directions. If a student moves ahead, I acknowledge that and I dock points. If a student doesn't really pay attention and doesn't do the assessments, then we talk about that as well. Okay, so going all together, I'm able to monitor them better. That works for me. But again, the teacher next to me in the room next to me does self-paced, and her students take that. Now, I will say with self-paced, still make sure you're kind of walking around or monitoring their screens and making sure they're taking the test and not just sometimes when a student feels like a self-paced assignment, their self-paced is super slow or not at all. Kind of just depends. Okay, so maybe your class is really, really disciplined and they're ready to roll there. But divided into days and parts really, really works as well. Giving lists, like writing a list on the board. Like I have on my board right now. It's the list of tests that they took today. Just so that kids know that, hey, there are 11 tests, but I'm only taking 4 today. Okay, and breaking it into parts. And then once a student finishes those 4, then they move on to another assignment or they work on other work. The run-in that I've had with this approach is they'll rush to get through their 4 tests or 5 tests that you've got on the board and fail to take those tests seriously. And the bummer about that is if you fail to take the YouScience test seriously, then your YouScience results won't be as real to you as they should be. And even if a student doesn't really like what I found in the past, the students that have disagreed with their YouScience results are also the students who have breezed through these assessments and not taken them as seriously. So your tips kind of relate to that. Okay, attach a nice chunk of points behind the assignments. Like, important assignments require important grades. Okay, and that's kind of what I say. This is really important. We're going to go back to this about 12 times throughout the year. We've got to make sure that 1, you take it seriously, 2, you do it right. That's what I say. You got to take it seriously. You got to do it right. And then verbalize the importance that a student needs to place on the YouScience assessment. Break it into smaller parts so they take the test value seriously, and then take the test and explore site yourself. Those 4 tips can go so far. But again, number 4 right here, another way that fits your style and your student. I know there's other ways, but these are the 3 ways that I've explored and the teachers have done in our building. So I thought I'd share. Okay, what to do after the test. This is sort of where I want to spend the rest of our time. And I've got about 10 more minutes. So you got a reflection. So here's what I'm going to go back and forth. So here's what our reflection looks like. So immediately after a student finishes test number 11, okay, the interest profile, we want the kids to learn what the YouScience looks like, what the YouScience website looks like, to venture through all of these sites. So aptitudes, that's where it explains more of the talents. Okay. You can click on these right here, and I believe, yeah, it changes what it says at the bottom. Okay. But then this check mark kind of explains that person the most. Okay, maybe your student agrees, maybe your student doesn't agree, maybe your student doesn't really know what a blended specialist is. Okay, or maybe we don't. Okay, so it kind of dissects a little bit further into here. So you're a specialist, so we'll explore here. So basically what the YouScience reflection does, it deep dives into a student's attributes. So how does this impact my daily life, your results? So I'm happiest when digging deep into a master a body of knowledge that ignites your passion. Hence freshman seminar, I'm passionate about it. I want students to feel like they're a little more wiser in making decisions by the end of their freshman year. And I think that can be learned in seminar. That's important to me. Okay. So as if you don't ever take this assessment, you can't ever figure that, you can't ever look at your results and help students. It's help guide them into theirs. Okay. So it has work life, it has social life. And then if you were to explore more, you got careers. Okay. This is where students really, really enjoy. So the green, that's kind of explains a strong overall fit. You got the blue, that's the good overall fit. And then we've got the yellow, fair fit. I think there's one more. Okay. A weak, yes, and a weak overall fit. And just because a kid desperately feels like they want to be a psychiatrist, okay, and it's on the lower results, that doesn't mean anything. Try to encourage them still. They can still save career here. So if you press save career, it goes into your saved careers boxes. So what I've done, I've saved careers that I feel like I've either done in the past or thought about doing in the past. And so I can share with my kids as well. They do enjoy looking at your results and seeing how they connect with you there. And then some discussion guides when you do your resumes, go in here and using terms that describe you, showing your kids that they can go here and almost create their own resume from their YouScience and take just sentences from there. And it looks like a really good resume. So like here, work approach. I've had students go to their YouScience and just take a couple of sentences and use that as part of their resumes. That helps. It really adds beef to a student's resume. So I challenge you to kind of venture through your own results, but definitely after a student takes their YouScience test, then let's learn about YouScience here. That's what this document is, and I'll upload this into all the drives. But it requires students to kind of just dive into the YouScience site, okay? And it's step by step. They're looking into their own results. Okay, so, and this one's pretty self-paced. So, and it's really good to, okay, you're going to finish interest profile. And after you finish interest profile, go ahead and work on this assignment. So they can work on that on their own. And okay, so that's your, let's talk about YouScience. Let's look at what's next. YouScience presentation and speech. This is actually one of our benchmarks for Hardin Valley. So what the students do is they'll take their YouScience results, their Myers-Briggs results, and their Leadership Compass results and combine, look and compare and see what connections they can make there. And then they present on that. And then our students practice active listening by providing feedback, written feedback. That's part of their assignment there. And then they're also practicing public speaking. So we have a rubric for that here, the presentation rubric, which is probably going to be edited a little bit. We do that every year, but so students know what they're going to be graded on as they prepare for their presentation. We're all about rubrics here. If we love a good rubric, I love a good rubric. And then you've got, here's what we give the students when they're beginning to work on their YouScience presentation. So the amount of slides they need, what they need on each slide. However, this will change a little bit because we want to provide more information on, we want the kids to provide more connections on their Myers-Briggs and their Leadership Compass. But this is what that looked like last year. Again, I'm just giving you ideas. Take and run whatever you want with it. Okay, make it your own. That's what makes seminar fun. We've got other options. We've done a YouScience and pathway one-pager. So eventually, after the presentations, after YouScience presentation and speeches, we go into pathways and the pathway lessons. Okay, so most of the time we don't really connect YouScience with each individual pathway lesson, although you could. Okay, although there's not enough time in the day to do all you want with YouScience. But at the end of all of the pathway lessons, our students write a pathway letter to our principal, basically applying for the pathway that they want. And they choose the top 3 pathways and they apply for that. And in their pathway letter, they have to include evidence from their YouScience that backs up why they want that pathway. Okay, that's one of the requirements. And so once a student receives whatever pathway they receive, hopefully one of their top 3 options, it's because they've truly thought about they've looked at their strengths and characteristics, they've looked at their attributes and how it applies to certain YouScience careers that they find themselves interested in, and then how all of those relate to the pathway that they're wanting to apply for. Okay, and then after the pathways are revealed, we do a YouScience and Pathway one-pager, so we connect the YouScience results to the Pathway by creating a one-pager. And I'm gonna take you to my wall so you can see my little one-pager pathways. And then, so that's what this is right here. So again, here's little, we got to drop skills, and then my kids can do either Canva or paper. They've got to include this information. So looking forward section. So you got nursing services here. Okay, and you got pre-law pathway. So the kids really, really enjoy that. Up here, you've got architecture. So they have to design a one-pager that relates to their pathway, but also provides information from their YouScience and then some secrets to success. So they're looking at some of those, even module 1 skills. Okay, the active listening, the social cues, what they're learning in high school. Okay, so it all ties together, and it's really, really fun to see it all tie together, but it just takes a little bit of intentionality from our part as teachers, and the kids deserve that. Okay, they deserve intention, they deserve excitement, and they deserve to be guided in how they're discovering themselves. And then here's when we get into resumes, so that's module 5. You can do some YouScience connections for your resume. So what I've done before, so I needed like a 45-minute, again, we're 80 minutes. So I needed a buffer lesson. So I did a YouScience connection for your resume, and we had just talked about resumes. It was just introduced. And so I wrote options of jobs that a legit high schooler would apply for if it were to be summer tomorrow and their parents were to tell them to go get a job. What job could they apply for that would hire their age? So they have to research that. And 2, it has to be in Knox County. And 3, it allows them to venture and look at their YouScience again, but connecting it to those terms, some of these terms here in some of these terms that you find in describing you section. Okay, so how do some of these relate to a job that I would apply for that's not a career job, that's just like a high school summer job, which those are different, and we talked about that. Okay, let's go here. I'm sorry, I'm getting tab happy here. Okay, a resume. This is fun for the kids because like some of these kids are really trying to think what job. My parent told me I had to get a job this summer. I'm about to get a car. I got to pay for a little bit of it. So they actually start thinking about these skills and needing some of this stuff. So log into Discovery Login. You've got to apply your YouScience here. So there's another way that it's fun and creative, and the kids usually enjoy, and it's usable, very user friendly. Okay. So that's it on the documentation that I have. So if I were to go back, we've talked about your YouScience presentation and speech, okay? And really the way we do that is we'll do a mini lesson on how to public speak, because we don't want to grade a student on public speaking without showing them how a good public speech is supposed to look like. So we'll do a little mini lesson on that. And then the students spend a couple of days working on their YouScience presentation. And then we spend a couple of days doing the speech. So this right here, YouScience presentation, could be a 1.5 to 2 week little project for you. Okay. Which last year that acted as our benchmark assessment for the first quarter, but for you, it could act as your benchmark assessment for the second quarter as you venture into your pathways. Okay, interconnect results into the pathway selection process. That would be connecting your YouScience results to your pathway letter and the pathway one-pager, and then using it on your resume, which is module 5. You could do a career assignment where you're just saying, hey, choose 3 careers from your YouScience section, one from the good fit, one from the fair fit, one from the weak fit, one from the strong fit. Okay, so 4 careers and answer these following questions. Okay, so you could just be as creative as you want with YouScience. That's a really, really cool thing about YouScience. And then include information on their 865 Ready portfolio. I wish I had looked up the 865 Ready portfolio before this meeting, and I'd show you sort of what that looks like. But there's tabs, and it's very explanatory. But kids will have to, one of their requirements is to take, is like a YouScience tab. They need to take YouScience information from here and put it into their YouScience portfolio or 865 portfolio. Okay. And then Chris, he has a PD coming up on YouScience Utilization 102 or 201, part 2. Okay, and he will venture. He's very, he's a YouScience guru. I consider myself a beginner, but he's a guru. He knows all the answers. He's awesome, and he'll definitely show you how to explore more careers and that style of it. So, okay, and then other possible ideas. I'll read through this and then I'm finishing up. Create assignments, groups, discussions related to how your YouScience relates to Myers-Briggs and the Leadership Compass. Your social skills assessment, explore those avenues. Where are the connections between the strengths and the aptitudes related to, and specific careers on YouScience with the characteristics, work ethics, traits, and communications and strengths. Module 4 and 5. Create a one-stop shop for those results. So I can't think of the word right now, but I'm thinking like of a one-page flyer, like a flyer-esque type thing. You could almost have an about me day. Maybe not. That might be too middle schoolish, but anyways, an about me page, and you have each of the pages look the same as like a template, and on the right corner you got your YouScience information, or some YouScience information, some interested careers, and then you've got your Myers-Briggs results, and then down here you've got your self-assessment results, and then down here you've got am I a south, a north, a east, or a west, your Leadership Compass results. So all students have taken these 4 assessments. They know exactly where to look on what connections they have with other students, and can build relationships there. You can have conversations and discussions with that. Okay, so I'm a north, you're a north, but your results say that you're more interested in the medical field. My results say I'm more businessy. What's the difference there? How do norths succeed in both of those careers? So that's really good questioning to venture into your kids and your discussions and all that. Okay, and then you go back to YouScience, learn a little more about how they work. Oh, have the students go back to YouScience and have them learn a little bit more about how they as an individual work. So they're not just kind of lost in the dark of trying to grow up. That sounded a little dark. I'm sorry. Okay, and then utilize YouScience for field trips and guest speakers. So eventually, like, we've got some ideas of bringing guest speakers and everybody that whose YouScience careers and pathways relate to this particular speaker. You're going here. Everybody whose YouScience results and speakers relate to this person, you're going here. So we're kind of dividing and conquering that way. So students are going to places where they're truly interested, or if they don't know where they're interested at, they're going to a spot where they may or may not be interested in. Okay, and then which careers relate to your top 3 pathway choices. Okay, so that's a lot of information, but again, the goal, oops, I never finished that slide. So let's just go back to the goal here. The goal is to alleviate your concern and your stress regarding how to use YouScience beyond just the assessment. And then it's also to provide you with a tangible way, or many ways, or just begin that thought process of creating YouScience related assignments that can be fun for you as well as fun for your kids. So I don't know, I hope that helps, but I will upload this video into the drive, and you are more than welcome to watch this on 1.5 speed, 1.75 speed, 2 speed, Whatever you want to do with it. Okay. But I really hope this helps. You can reach out to me anytime. Email me. I'm not going to give you my cell phone number, but you can email me. Tiffany.cantrell@knoxschools.org. I'd love to help you. Thanks. Have a great fall break. Fall break is next week. Okay. Shoot.